Hey y'all, welcome to this episode of In the Weeds. This episode gets right to it with Mom theorizing on safe and eco-friendly ways to light our roads at night, and then Jonathan teaches us the habits needed to live comfortably past 90 years old. Yeah, well, it'd be fun to say that Finland's fake, but I don't know, I think it's gotta be real.
So we're 3-1
It's gotta be
here
real.
on the back porch.
That's
Finland's
fine. I'll be
real.
the black sheep.
That's alright, man.
Ooh, touching on one of my topics to come up
Uh-oh. What was your topic?
today.
Yes.
Yeah, Mom, what do you got?
Yeah, what do you have
do you have
today?
prepared
So
today?
my
I'm interested.
topic does not even, it's not even near as remotely interesting as the two I've heard so far.
I don't know, I was worried mine was gonna be a flop.
No,
So,
no,
I'm
I
glad it
loved
wasn't.
it. I loved it. So mine's not controversial or exciting. You guys know I had mentioned at some point in time, I mentioned on 1.0 about maybe I didn't, but the glow in the dark road lines, like
I
Australia.
think we touched on it.
I think we had an outside discussion
Okay.
about it,
So
if anything.
I think at some point in time in the last year or so, I saw a post about, and it showed a picture of these glow in the dark road lines.
Which I have seen pictures and displays of them before, which I think they're a fantastic idea.
I did too, and after my whole Allen deep dive, I said,
Maybe not. You
let's
think
let's check it
paint and roadway markers, reflectors are the way to go?
I'm gonna tell you what I think my way to go is, but I'm not big brain enough to make it happen. But I'm gonna get there. So I saw a post about the glow in the dark roads, and I was like, So why aren't more countries and municipalities flocking to this revolution in road line paint? That was my big brain thought.
Road line paint?
Yeah, why aren't more places flocking to using a glow in the dark type road line paint?
I thought you just meant normal road paint. But you're talking specifically glow in the dark.
This glow in the dark, right?
Why haven't more countries adopted it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in my mind, there's less load on the electrical grid because you won't need as many road lights, street
That's true.
lights, right?
Yeah.
And then it can be used in rural areas where there isn't power lines right there on these dark. I mean, hello, where do we live? Backcountry roads.
Yep.
They're not lit up. How many deer and other animal get hit on the regular because you can't see, or how many car accidents happen on these dark country roads?
How many
Every day.
times have I almost died on a backcountry road? Too many to count my appendages.
Right.
Nice.
So I did a little bit of research. Some took me places, some didn't. But it turns out there's some drawbacks, and the biggest one I found across the internet was cost.
Oh.
Yeah, and next would be the necessity for it to be sunny.
It always comes
Yeah.
back to money.
It always comes back to money.
Well, not necessarily,
Not necessarily.
because
So-
UV pierces no matter what. You get a sunburn no matter if it's sunny or cloudy.
Right. So what that is going to lead, so that I went to interestingengineering.com. So an Australian tech company called Tarmac Line Marking with another company called Omni Group and Vic Roads did a trial run on a 1 kilometer stretch of road in Victoria.
Okay.
That is the Facebook picture everybody sees, is that glow in the dark road.
That's in Victoria in Australia?
Australia.
Australia.
Yep. So this test material is photoluminescence. So glow in the dark. Like think about the glow in the dark toys you had. Think of your regular analog watches with the glow in the dark hands or arms. Post radium, obviously, and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it was reported that it was used to paint the roads to make it easier to see the curves and intersections in the roadways. Which, I mean, if you have glow-in-the-dark lines at night, yeah, you see there's a curve coming up. You see there's an intersection coming up. Made sense to me.
Yeah.
And it lasts most of the night after sunny days, and overcast days, quote, may affect the longevity of the glow. So I went to traveltomorrow.com, and there are reports that the headlights of passing vehicles does reactivate the glow.
Okay.
So it's not strictly UV.
Yeah. Which, I mean, with these lines or not, at night you should be driving with your headlights on.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of like when you took the glow in the dark sticker or your glow in the dark pajamas that I know I bought you and your sisters, and I'm sure your mamas and daddies bought them for you too. And we'd put the glow in the dark jammies up next to a light in the bathroom or the kitchen so they get a good glow all night long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the idea about headlights reactivating the glow in the dark paint or photoluminescent paint. So on traveltomorrow.com, I also found that the Netherlands actually tried this in 2014 because they were shutting down street lamps due to the rising cost of electricity.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So electricity became higher, and they're like, we need alternatives here. So engineers in the Netherlands were working on putting on paint that also responds to temperature.
Okay.
So whenever the temperature would drop below a certain degree, or Celsius, well, I guess it's still a degree, the little snowflakes would illuminate on the roadway in this special photoluminescent paint, but it was temperature reactive, temperature sensitive, to warn you of icy conditions being possible on the roadway,
I see.
which I think is a great idea. Would
That's pretty
work on
cool.
our bridges and our overpasses. Not that we have a lot of it here where we live, but
Just in the U.S. in general.
there's a lot of places that, I mean, even
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
we could still use it because people make fun of us because they think it doesn't snow a lot here, but we get a lot of black ice.
Oh yeah. We get
Definitely.
It might not snow, but we get freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
And and when like I leave the house at 6:00 in the morning, I mean, in the wintertime, I'm more likely to encounter the freezing road conditions than other people after the sun rises.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty neat. And then that led me on to Reddit. Reddit had a lot of concerns about toxicity and durability. I get both of them.
Yeah.
But I think it's been determined. I didn't find anything specifically stating the toxicity levels of the paint for when it does erode away off the roadways from rain and driving over it going into waterways. The durability was kind of the big thing, especially for countries that or areas that use snow plows.
Oh.
Will
Yeah.
it scrape up?
Right.
More
So
than
that was
likely.
a big thing. So I ended up on researchgate.net, and there was a study published January of 2021 about active luminous lane markings on the highway. So there's also passive luminescent lane markings. Passive luminescent lane markings are like our lines are now. They're reflective. Do you guys know what makes our road markings reflective?
It's the angle of like some kind of something in the wait. Which ones are you talking about specifically?
Like the lines on the roads that are reflective.
the like the
In the
paint
middle?
lines.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know.
Is it tape?
Glass beads.
huh.
Ah.
Glass, and I didn't know that.
There's glass beads in the paint.
There's glass beads in the paint.
There's
There's several drawbacks to the glass beads. One, they're not durable, so they wear off.
Yeah.
So, and then they lose their shine. Like, I mean, it's kind of like when you pick up ocean glass,
Yeah.
it's all,
Foggy.
yeah, and then you polish it and then it's shiny again. So, but if you use it in like it gets worn, it gets foggy again,
Yeah.
more opaque.
Yeah.
So that is one of the big concerns with that. Reflectors in the roadway are also another passive luminescence. So they were working. So their big thing was they're trying to think of active ways to illuminate the roadways, not by like glow in the dark paints, but by using like LEDs in the roadway.
Okay.
Which I like the idea. They touched a little bit on, like, they could be solar charged.
Yeah.
But I think then we're going to go right back to the same problems.
Where if it's overcast, how well is it going to charge?
Right. Or if you have a, like, I mean, how many times have we had a week straight of rain? Like, oh my gosh, what's that big orb in the sky? It's been so long since I've seen the sun.
Right.
Right.
You know, so I feel like that would also be an issue. But the study did indicate, and they did a driving simulation test, and it showed that having a illuminated road lines was theoretically a great improvement and really good for drivers. It reduced distraction, reduced accidents, and I think they something like 9 tests they did. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So Peru. So then I found the United States Department of Transportation Federal Highway Administration Roadway Delineation Practices Handbook.
Nice.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's
That's
a
a
lot.
mouthful.
Yeah.
It was, and I spent a lot of time reading it. There's a lot of
Really?
technobabble.
Oh, like jargon and stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very technical, and
Yeah.
this is
Section D 25,
This is-
paragraph A.
These
free
are
for
like
consumption.
these are the best nerds in our nation. Put this book together.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yeah.
For the United States, at least, they recognize the importance of having better and more visible road markings at night. Like this, the United States recognizes this is a problem.
Yeah.
However, if it's not cost effective, it's just going to be paint, whether it
Yeah.
reflects anything or not.
Yeah.
Because of, I mean, our roadways are managed by taxes.
Money, money, money.
Yep. Here it all
Money.
comes down to money.
Yeah.
If the glow in the dark stuff ever becomes cheaper, it'll probably happen.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So the drawbacks on the glow in the dark paint: short light up times, poor durability, and high costs.
I see.
But the benefits are, it's a huge safety
Improvement.
mitigator.
Yeah.
Like it helps create more safe roads to travel at night.
Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. The technology's just not there yet.
I'm getting there, I promise.
Oh.
And then another, like for me, it's less Allen.
It is. It is less Allen.
And then there's less draw on the energy grid too, so then it's environmentally conscious at that point in time.
Yep.
So I kept on doing a little research, and I ended up at fox13.com out of Utah. In 2020, Utah's Department of Transportation is researching a glow-in-the-dark paint that glows brighter and longer and will hold up to snowplows, so it's durable.
Oh.
And they also recognize the need for it to be cost effective. I could not find anywhere where that research or testing has gone. So I do not, they might still be
Probably still
researching.
experimental and under
Right,
development.
right. So I
Yeah.
haven't found anything concrete on that. But that led my little pea brain to start thinking about different things.
Okay.
I started thinking about bioluminescence. So the first thing I Google is, can we synthesize bioluminescence? Of course we can. Luminol. We all know about luminol.
What is luminol?
Like what they spray on a crime scene that reacts to the iron and blood to show it.
I didn't know that.
They use the UV light to show blood.
I know about
Like when they-
the
I know
black-
about the
black
UV light,
yes.
but
Yeah,
but
that-
the
that
reactive chemical
spray
did not
is
know
they-
about
It-
that.
They spray before the UV light.
That's luminol.
It attaches to like the oils and stuff that you leave behind
Well,
and your
it-
fingerprints and all that. And then when they
Right.
go over with the black light, it just, I mean, it
And
pops.
initially
Oh.
it started with, it was a reagent to the iron in blood.
Yes.
But that is basically a synthesized bioluminescence.
That's cool.
Right.
didn't
So
know-
I
I
got to
had
think
no
about it a
idea
little
that
bit
was a thing.
more. And so I ended up at schoolofscience.com or .org, excuse me, scienceschool.org. And I learned a little bit about bioluminescence. That is a chemical reaction of luciferns, and these luciferns react to oxygen that produce energy in the form of light. And it's 98% efficient.
That's pretty good.
Right. So that means 98% of the energy that is used to make the bioluminescence actually creates light.
That's very good.
So in
Extremely good.
right. And bioluminescence doesn't need sunlight. It doesn't require UV or the fish is way down in the deep.
It just needs a reaction.
It just needs to react the luciferns to react to oxygen. So, I mean, if this is a possibility, just think about what we could do with a synthetic bioluminescence that reacts to something that is prominent in our
Atmosphere.
ground
So-
level atmosphere,
Right.
like oxygen
We
or
would have to-
nitrogen or anything.
We'd have to synthesize luciferins.
Right. And just make them react to something different. Whether if oxygen's the best thing, then let it react to oxygen. If nitrogen's the best thing, then create them to react to
Nitrogen.
nitrogen. Mix that with the paint.
Would the reaction burn the oxygen molecule?
It wouldn't.
It doesn't say burn, it says reacts to.
Right.
So
but
it's not
what-
like
would it
it's-
consume that oxygen though to produce the energy to make it illuminate? Is my question.
I did not research that, but is with all the bioluminescent creatures in the world, I don't feel like
that,
they're
that use
creating
oxygen to breathe. Just
they're
saying.
biolumin.
But is
You always gotta argue
bioluminescence a
with
burning
me.
sensation?
I'm not trying to. I'm thinking about it. If it reacts with oxygen and we were to put it on the ground in massive quantities over a long period of time, if it's actually sapping up oxygen, then ground level oxygen would actually go. I'm not saying it's a thing. I'm
I'm
that's
kind
the
of
reaction. I'm
I'm
trying
kind of thinking the billions of people overpopulating the world's going to zap the oxygen levels more than some paint.
Hey, I'm gonna double back like 3 sentences.
Okay.
What are luciferins and where do they come from?
Luciferns are in bioluminescent creatures.
They are the luminescent part.
Okay.
It's, and again, this was just a quick.
Right.
Quickie.
But
Right,
do you mean like
I-
what are they? Like what
Yes.
is
It's
it?
a. It's
Yes.
like it's a
I'll look-
like
I'll
I
look it up.
literally saw the drawing of the molecules of the lucifern. So it's some sort of molecule in.
Right.
bioluminescent creature, whether it be
what I'm
algae
asking
or-
is, what is it, and if we could extract it, what are we looking for?
I don't know that
That's what
we'd
I'm
want to
saying.
extract it. I think
It-
we'd want to
You know,
lab create it.
hypothetically.
But it's a molecule in the creature because there's algae that are bioluminescent, there are fish that are bioluminescent, there are insects that are bioluminescent.
Or
Tasmanian devils are bioluminescent.
yeah, it's what makes a lucifern?
So it's I don't know what makes it, but it is just a molecule.
It's got to
Like,
be
it's
in the
just
code, bro.
It's a chemical.
I mean, if we know the molecular structure of it, then we
That's-
should be able to recreate it.
That's what I
It's
want
got
to
to be in your code, bro.
it does. I don't know. I'm on Wikipedia and it's not.
And again, that
really
was
saying.
that would have been a deeper dive. That would have been a lot of science, a lot of math that I didn't feel like would kind of jive with it. I think if we can synthesize so many different things, why can't we marry the two ideas together?
We probably can.
Money.
We just gotta put the money. The right amount of money has to go towards it.
But we're not the only country looking into it. We're not the and I mean the Netherlands is looking into it. I mean, I feel like that's a
So, I don't know. Maybe they've already tried it and it didn't work.
I don't know
I don't know.
because I literally tried Googling bioluminescence plus paint,
Yeah.
and all I could come up with was glow in the dark paint, but it is not bioluminescence. Like glow in the dark paint requires light, whether it be sunlight or artificial.
It could also just be that we don't have the science to do it yet. Maybe we don't have
Potentially.
the science to synthesize that synthetic version of that molecule.
Luciferin.
I
Or
mean,
it's like luciferin or something like that.
It's
There-
luciferin.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Its molecular
Thank you for
structure
correcting me on
is carbon 11, hydrogen 8, nitrogen 2, oxygen 3, and I'm having trouble remembering what S is.
Probably sulfur.
Sulfur.
No.
Sulfur?
Wait, no. Sulfur's
maybe?
not an element. is
Sodium?
it? Sodium. Wait, no. Cause
But it's-
no,
No,
it's
that's
not
it's
no.
sodium.
S2.
Sodium's Na.
Oh, dang. I gotta pull up the periodic table.
Yeah.
What were you saying that you had a question on?
S.
S. What is S?
S.
Sulfur.
Sulfur. Okay.
Oh, is it?
Sulfur.
Oh, okay.
Sulfur
Hold,
2.
hold my beer. Check me.
It probably is. I don't know. I'm gonna believe you, cause I'm gonna believe you.
Yeah, that's
Sulfur
its,
burns.
That's its
Sure.
that's its molecular formula.
Yeah, well, that's the generic one. I was on the Wikipedia, and it's like each creature has its own
Has its own different
version.
different
It's like got
version, yeah.
different chemicals and stuff attached to it or compounds. Oh yeah, it is sulfur. Okay.
Told you I know way more of the periodic
Alright,
table than most
look,
people.
I said I was gonna believe you.
I had to fact check myself.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be a fascinating. I'm just putting the theory out there for big brains. If a big brain ever comes across this podcast, Maybe an idea.
Yeah, we might have to come back to that one in like 3 years or something and see where it's at.
That might be that's a pinnable idea.
Yeah,
Maybe we just got to rub a special rock in a special water.
maybe.
It might be just simple as that. Special water and special rock. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, you got some special water to throw in on this?
Oh, I do. Because my special water talks about... Well, so let me start off like this. If you had the possibility to have the knowledge to live longer than 90 years...
Okay.
So longer than the average human lifespan.
Right.
I don't know if I'd want to, but keep going.
Okay. But if you... let's say you wanted to. Life's good on Earth. Everything's going the right way. You know, there's not all these problems like we got. You know, life's actually good.
We're thriving.
We're thriving, right? You have the option to have the knowledge to live past 90. Would you want it? Would you want to live a little longer?
How much longer?
On average, about you'd be around 20 to 30 years extra
30
So
years.
to 120 years
Whoa.
old,
That's old.
and that's the stretch of it. It's
Stretch.
about,
I will say.
But the Earth is good.
but the Earth is good.
I will say, depending on what my body and mind's capability is, then if my body and my mind are just spent, no. But if I still can get up and do things and interact and carry on an intelligent conversation, sure, why not?
So I'll start it with this. That's gonna come to the Power 9, which we'll get to later.
Power. What the hell are you
The
talking
power-
about?
Power
Power
9
9.
is lifestyle choices that have been determined by looking at the concentration of centenarian populations
Uh-huh.
and the specific traits between them.
Oh, these are like the 9 powerful things.
The 9 common things that they've noticed that all these groups do, where these groups of older generations are living to 100, 110, 120 years old.
So we need that telephone from episode 1 to talk to Betty White.
Look,
Oh,
man, Betty White
99.
older than sliced bread.
She was almost there.
Yeah, she,
90, I forgot. It was 99 when she passed,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, okay.
So the definition of a centenarian is a person that lives 100 years or more.
okay.
So just outright, if you make it to 100.
plus.
And that's actually ironic on how I started this topic was I thought it was centurion. And then I actually read it and I was like, okay, that's not it. But this is actually interesting.
You're
So-
like, this sounds badass. What's a
Right.
centurion? Yeah.
So in the U.S. alone, as of 2018, the United States had 89,739 centenarians
Whoa.
in the United States.
That's a lot more than I would have thought.
Yeah, that's a-
Wow.
That's a lot.
out
Wow.
of the population of 2018 being 336,997,624.
I mean, I get that's a small number of people, but it's a heck of a lot more than I
That's
thought there would have been
hella
in it.
people.
Yeah, that's,
No matter how you look at
0.27%.
that's still a lot more.
0.27%.
0.27% of the United States population in 2018 was over 100 years old.
If you would have asked me what percentage of the United States of people live beyond 100 or more, I would have said 0.001.
So remember that game we played on the Jackbox, and we got to do the statistics. That's why I pulled, because I have a feeling it's gonna be one of them questions. How many people live to be 100? You ain't gonna get me.
I was gonna ask you if you had the percentage, and
Yeah,
then you
no,
just
it's
busted it out.
0.27%.
He loves statistics.
I do.
Yeah, they're fun.
And that was done by the Population Division of the United Nations.
Okay.
I have a question on that.
Go ahead.
Did that percentage drop during COVID?
So there were no recent numbers that I could find about centenarians as of late. That was the last recorded study done. The main thing I've noticed, though, is it sounds like the people doing this, and I'll get to what the actual topic of, like, their specific category of science that they go behind. It really sounds like it's understaffed, really. Like, they're very limited on the amount of information they can get.
I see.
And it sounds like it's either via staff or just the fact that there's not that many left.
Lack of funding and
Ah.
lack of interest.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Well, maybe this is the thing that, we can live longer. Maybe. So there's actually 3 different versions of centenarians. You have the main centenarian, which actually will live to 100 to 104 years old.
Okay.
You have your semi-super centenarians, right? That was as soon as it got big, I was like, oh my God.
super.
So on average, they live from 105 to 109.
Next is the Super Saiyan 2 centenarian.
Super centenarians will live between 110 and 119 years.
God,
Oof.
that's old.
So Super Saiyans can live to 120. That's what I'm hearing.
As
Yeah.
of 2020, there were only 300 to 450 super centenarians on the planet.
Wow.
On the planet.
On the planet.
Wow.
That's an exclusive category to be in.
Yes.
So that means they
Wow.
did do a study in 2020. They just left out a lot of information.
So the way they do it, there's the concept of blue zones, which I'll also touch on a little bit more later. And these are the areas that they've noticed the average of centenarians is above the norm.
Okay, so they were
Oh.
focusing on
So
this,
they're
the super
focusing-
folk.
Right. Because,
Okay.
okay, these are the areas where they're more prominent. This is where I have the opportunity to gain the most information.
Yeah.
And also to what would correlate to it. If you have a higher number, you're doing something better than the people around you.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's a whole nother thing.
Screw the Mile High Club. I'm trying to be a Super Saiyan. What?
So,
Bro, what? A classified
yeah, no. Super
area of your
centenarian,
own?
bro.
Yeah, that's
Super
pretty cool.
centenarian.
less than 500 people in the world?
Yeah.
Dude. To almost 120.
Yeah.
And their body and mind
So,
made it there.
To hit that category, all you got to do is hit 110. Anything after
What?
110 is bonus.
So,
That's bonus XP, brother.
are these functional super centarians?
So that's part of
Yeah,
the
that's-
whole.
Okay.
That's part
That's
of
what
the
I'm
Power
asking.
9.
That's
Okay.
what I'm asking. Like their body and mind
So-
made it that whole way.
So I'm gonna keep referring to the Power 9 because that's the consensus of what, and they talk to these people. What do you do daily?
So the Power
Medi-
9 are the rules.
This is what they've basically narrowed down as like the main guidelines that if you want to try and increase your own life,
I'm going to
this is-
say it's the Mediterranean diet.
possibly. I don't know much about the Mediterranean diet, but we'll get back to it.
diet.
Back to some statistics. What's the percentage of men versus women that you think will even reach 90? Seeing as how I used that number specifically earlier.
I'm going to say the percentage of men reaching that age is a lot less than women.
Give me a number.
I don't know, 60-40? I don't like it when you ask me for numbers.
What do you think, Austin?
Women are more likely to reach that older age. Than
That
men
is
are.
correct.
Yes.
Women, based off of this percentage, will live
Yeah.
longer.
And like
Of
I've
course
always
we live
remembered
longer.
like
we do less stupid
keeping
stuff.
keeping
Well,
up
look.
with times and life expectancies. Women's life expectancy is usually an average of like 5 to 7 years more than the male.
I think it's probably because women tend to have smaller builds than men, potentially.
I'm glad you said that. We'll come back to that later.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you said that.
I had big,
Big
brain thought.
brain.
Yeah, wow.
So, on average, 16% of men will live to reach the age of 90.
only 16%.
16%.
That's a
low.
small amount.
That's low.
Yes. The other side of that, 34% of women will live to reach the age of 90.
That's still pretty
So
low.
that-
but
That's
much
still
higher.
low, but,
But that
basically
in of
double what it
itself-
is for
Yeah.
men.
Yeah, I
almost
was about to say
double.
that in of itself is such a big gap.
Yeah.
It's almost double.
Yeah.
So, and this statistic was actually relevant to women via longevity of life based off of their height alone.
Oh.
Where you talked
Wow.
about
Where
does
their
5'4"
builds
fall
being
on that?
smaller.
So, women taller than 5'9" have a 31% chance, or 31% more likely to reach the age of 90 compared to women under 5'3".
So taller women are more likely to reach 90? What? That's weird.
But I'm
Because it
tall-
increases their survivability chances.
I'm taller than 5'3", but
Oh.
shorter
They're less
than 5'9".
reliant
Where do
on a
I
man.
land?
I see.
So, I just thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
I'm
hear.
taller than 5'3", but shorter than 5'9". Where the hell do I land?
You land in the neutral ground.
I'm in the no man zone.
You might make it.
I might not.
Yeah.
So then you just fall back to the 34% of women that might make it. You don't get the bonus. You don't get the bonus XP, but you know you got the base XP.
No buffs.
No,
No
buffs.
buffs.
I'm gonna laugh if I live to be 102.
Hey, it's possible.
That's bragging rights for sure.
So
When you get up there, hey, go man, I made it to 102.
I'm gonna throw back.
So as I was going through all this, I was like, okay, where are they? Where are these centenarians concentrated at? Because if there's blue zones and all, you know, they've narrowed it down. So where's the main hitters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the main contributor to centenarians as of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, was Okinawa, Japan. Sorry, Okinawa, Japan. Let me say that correctly. I did not edit.
Japan.
We,
Maybe, I don't know. I might be
so
able to say
the
that
main
wrong.
contributor of centenarians as of 2020 was Okinawa, Japan,
That's interesting.
with 340 to 400 million centenarians.
Whoa.
Wait, what?
That's like
Yeah.
the world's largest population, like their world's largest percentage of
I'm-
centenarians.
Hey, man. Samurai away.
How many centenarians?
340 to 400 million.
Individual people?
Yes.
And like this is just like this isn't currently, is it? Am I-
Like
this
it
is
was updated, like I said last night, from what I could see was
So-
2020.
But is this like the total number of centenarians?
total
in-
number
in
or-
Okinawa, like that they
over time that they've recorded?
I don't know if it was over time, but it said that was their number. From what I understand, there's still a lot of people out in there. I don't know if that maybe it's 340. I don't know what the population of Japan is,
I don't either.
but
that-
that's the
all right.
number they had when they were, because it was by race that they were, or country really, that they were kind of narrowing it down.
I feel like this has to be like the total number from the time that they were looking into this,
Yeah.
not currently that many
That's what
now.
I feel like.
So, per 2021, Japan's total population is 125.7 million people.
So yeah, it's got to be over time, not
Yeah.
yeah,
just.
okay, so then over time. So
That's
then I would
still
have
a
to go
lot.
back and figure out that time frame.
Right. That's still a lot.
That is a
though.
lot.
That's a lot.
So by that respect, then Bulgaria has had over 200 million. Sardinia, if I'm saying that correctly,
Yeah, Sardinia.
has had over 135 million. But the other part about Sardinia is it's the only country that has had the opposite effect when it comes to centenarians, where males are living longer than the women.
Oh, weird. I wonder why that is.
Is it because they're staying more active?
It's because it's part of the Power Nine. We'll get there.
The Power
promise.
9.
I promise. So, as they were going through the studies, the main things that they noticed when it came to their diets was all the food they eat is unprocessed.
Okay.
They're getting it from their garden, the forest, they're hunting it.
There's
What-
no MSG.
If they're getting it from the butcher down the store, it's because the butcher got it that morning, type beat. If they're getting lettuce and tomatoes and stuff from the market, it's because it was picked that morning or the day before.
So on that theory, then there were more centenarians in the United States prior refrigeration.
Probably.
Okay.
What's up?
Per April 18th, 2023. So this is very recent. For every 100,000 peoples in population, 73 are centenarians.
For every 1,000 people.
Per 100,000?
Yeah, for every 100,000.
Only 73?
Only 73.
Oof.
That's not a lot. I don't think we're going to be a part of that, you guys.
Yeah,
The
no,
numbers
that's
aren't looking
It's a
up.
very exclusive club,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry to say, but so they, fresh plants and herbs from gardens or the forest, unprocessed foods. This is the part that me personally, I have a little bit of an issue with because I don't know if I agree. But if the science backs it up, I kind of got to. Their actual animal intake is relatively low,
This is something I've heard a little bit about.
and the vegetable and bean intake is actually higher.
Yeah.
What about all the kimchi
and
they eat, man?
the other part of it is,
I love kimchi.
and this is where it gets kind of good, from every culture they've talked to for their centenarians, they always come back to, don't be scared to drink a little every day.
They all drink a little bit every day.
Moderation. Moderation's the key on everything.
Keeps you regular.
The average is 2 glasses of wine was the specific alcohol chosen for it. a day,
Okay.
and that you can't stack up.
Oh, like
If you miss that day to drink, you're only allowed 2 the next day. They don't stack.
Okay. Yeah.
So I need to cut it back to 2 glasses of wine a day.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
So, going back to the blue zones, it was actually a term coined and trademarked by 2 people, Gianni Pez and Michael Paulain, if I'm saying it correctly. And it was outlined in the Journal of Experimental Gerontology, which is the subject of science based off of the longevity, if I'm not mistaken, of life.
Gerontology is the study
Gerontology.
of longevity of life.
Yes.
Okay.
For the human race, if I'm not mistaken.
Specifically the human race?
I think it's specifically the human race.
Okay.
I'd have to double check that exact.
Yeah.
I didn't. That was one of the things I just,
Yeah.
that would have been another rabbit
Yeah.
hole. In general.
GTS man is on it. I see him
Alright.
over there with the phone.
But they coined it, and the little funny tidbit behind the whole bit is the reason they're called blue zones is because when they were initially mapping it, the pins they were using on their board were blue.
So
Oh,
it has nothing
That
to
was
do
just the only pins they had. So when they asked it, well, what do you call these? I guess blue zones.
so it has nothing to
Wow.
do with them being blue-haired grannies.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that was the color of the
They had
pin.
the blue pens.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
They could have been pink zones.
French fry is correct. Gerontology is the scientific study of old age, the process of aging, and the particular problems of old races and people.
But is it human specifically, or is it like living things?
Yes, it is specific to people.
Okay.
So gerontology, if I'm saying it correctly, and science community, please berate me because I would like to say it
No,
correctly.
you are correct. Gerontology.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I accept the criticism either way. But to kind of bring it all back to what I've been saying the entire time, the Power 9. So these are the 9 things that they have drawn to as the similarities between each individual culture that they've studied via talking to their centenarians.
Yeah.
These are the 9 things they attribute as the 9 common that affect it.
Okay.
And it's actually broken down even more into 5 categories
Oh.
based off of how it represents for the person, how you would explain it to somebody based off of an emotion.
Oh. Okay.
So the first one is under the category move. And it's just literally move naturally. So I'll go in a little bit more in depth because this is going to make a lot of people who go to the gym upset.
I mean, is it like a Tai Chi kind of thing?
Nope. So amongst the world's longest living people, they don't pump iron. They don't run marathons. They live in their environment. The difference is their day-to-day, they use less convenience machines. They don't normally have a wash machine. They don't go to the grocery
Oh.
store for vegetables. They'll go outside, maintain their garden.
Oh.
Instead of a riding lawnmower, they'll get an old school push one.
Yeah.
It's about the general, just every day-to-day natural movement. Because you pump iron, you get big. The biggest thing they've noticed is over time, regardless of what you do, you still shrink.
Yep.
Yeah, you deflate.
So the
Yep.
bigger you inflate yourself, the more you have to shrink, the more it actually later on hurts your body because your body can't keep up with it because it's not its natural weight.
Right, and it's bad for your bones and your joints and your ligaments and your ligaments and tendons.
Right. So the next category is actually based off of the right outlook, how you outlook at life.
That makes sense.
And it goes back to purpose. So knowing what your purpose is in life and making sure you deliver.
Okay.
This is, okay, this is what I have to do today. I'm going to get this done. And what they've noticed, that's what these centenarians do. Oh, I have to fix the shingles on my roof because I have a water leak. They're not going to call somebody. They're going to do it. And that's what they do. They will, even if it's as simple as them walking out in front of their house and sweeping the sidewalk in front of their house for 10, 15 minutes. It's a purpose. It's
Right.
something to do. And it's actually funny because when I was reading this, I was recalling moments where people will, oh, my loved one said they wanted to see this person in the family one last time, and then the second they did, that's when they passed on.
So they stayed long enough for their
They
purpose.
had a purpose.
I see.
So when I was reading it, that was the connection for me, and it kind of made more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other side of it is downshift. And this has to do with stress.
Okay.
Don't hold in the stress. If you're in a situation that's stressing you out, back up, walk away, look the other way, get away from it.
I see.
The less stress you have in your life, the longer you will live.
Yeah, stress is a big
Yeah.
literal killer.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Now we get to eating wisely, which comes with the 80% rule, which
Okay.
you're not going to like, Mike.
Oh, great. It's be no meat.
Look, no,
Bruh.
it's not that.
20% meat.
It's, no. Let me get to the, okay. So the 80% rule is based off of when you're eating, there is, in essence, a given 20% in your stomach. And your body knows when you're hitting this mark of, okay, I've eaten what I need to eat, but you know what? I could eat more.
Right.
So in that moment, that's theoretically that last 20% of your stomach.
Oh, okay.
This is also the last 20% correlated with whether or not you gain or lose weight,
Okay.
or if you're going to overclock your body by making it work harder.
I see.
So when you get to that 80%, it's said that you should stop. It's
See.
it's okay to not be full. You got to eat.
Right. This all makes a lot of sense.
Eat until you're satisfied, not until you're
No.
full.
Well, eat until you've eaten what you need for your body.
Right.
Basically.
Eat until your body's satiated versus eating until you're full.
Basically. So
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, we all love it.
One plate.
You
One
need a-
plate.
yeah, one
One
plate.
plate.
One plate.
So the next one is plant slant, and which is like the more plants, I guess, that they've in common that they eat, including beans, fava, black soy, and lentils are the cornerstones of the diets, along with mostly the meat being mostly pork.
Really? Pork?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Pork is eaten on average only about 5 times per month, with a serving size of about 3 to 4 ounces.
That's not a lot of pork.
That's not a lot of pork. That's where I have
Dang.
it. That's not enough meat.
Yeah. if
In
you're gonna-
my opinion, that is not enough meat.
as a red-blooded American, if you're gonna give me meat, give me a full steak.
So, the other side of it is the last one of the eating wisely. It comes back to alcohol, and it's the rule of wine at 5. Right.
Wine at 5.
So
You got mom's
this is
attention.
something they've noticed within the blue zones, except for the Adventists in these communities. They wanted to make sure that that was stated.
Okay.
So I'm going to make sure that I state it.
Okay.
Drinking alcohol moderately and regularly. Moderate drinkers outlive non-drinkers. The trick is to have only 1 to 2 glasses a day. And like I said, it came back to the rule of you can't stack. And they're very prominent about that. If you, let's say you had a long day, Monday, Tuesday, you came home, you went straight to sleep. Wednesday, you get off a little early, you come home, it's 5 o'clock. Well, I ain't drank in the last 2 days. Let me go ahead and just kill that bottle.
Let me have
Yeah.
4 or 6 instead of the 2.
Right.
Okay.
That's not,
It's
Can't-
it's
2.
all
big-
within moderation.
And if you miss, you miss.
If you miss, you miss.
It's like sleep. You can't catch up on
Exactly.
sleep. Okay.
So then the last side of this whole bit comes to you connecting with other people. And this is where,
Sort of social interaction.
Yes.
Human social interaction.
so the first one is to just belong. So out of the 263 centenarians that they've consecutively interviewed and have gotten the most information from, all but 5 belong to a faith-based organization.
So I can't be a hermit and live to 120?
They're not saying that. I didn't say that. They're saying that the denomination didn't even matter. It was just they believed. them going allowed them to connect with other people.
And that's kind of like mind heal thy body.
Kind of, yeah. So, be around positive people. You will leave.
stay positive.
You will be positive. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of those aspects is, not necessarily, you don't have to join a church, but go and be a part of something.
Be active in something.
Right.
Social.
Yeah, something. Group of 10, 15 people, yeah, go do it. Get that connection with those people. Cuz it's part of that. It dials back to that purpose. That's the person I want to see before I go. Okay.
This
Gotcha.
makes a lot of sense on how a lot of old people go and play their ass on bingo.
Yeah.
Social interaction.
Yeah.
It's a purpose.
Yeah.
You might make some money off of it.
Some
Because I've heard
serious-
some tales of some people coming back from some bingo plays with a wad.
Serious money.
So, she, they on to something.
The longer French fry keeps going on, the more it's making sense to me.
Indeed.
That I'm out here sinning really bad.
I'm
and
waiting
I-
for when he's going to come out with the fofofo.
As
Yeah.
the oldest person sitting out here, I'm taking notes.
Well,
Right.
this is the one where I'm going to bank on my people cuz this is what we do.
Hispanic background, by the way.
Yes. Loved ones come first. And by that, what they mean is what they notice that centenarians have a longer standing chance so let's say we'll use Austin because he's in a relationship. You and Annalise, right? For the chances of y'all to live longer and become centenarians, your parents and her parents got to live in the same block, and y'all's grandparents.
Well,
Y'all
that's
you have to be close with your family.
Right.
that's the whole. It takes a village. It's
You're right.
not just takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to live.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
to do
it
anything, really.
They're saying, if you grow up and you're always around family,
And correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the Japanese,
yes.
they have extended families living in their household? They have grandma and grandpa from both sides living in their family.
No, that's part of their custom.
Right.
Grandson gets married, and they get a new house and all. Well, grandma is retired and don't want to do. Hey, grandson, I'm gonna come live with you. Okay. Yeah. Here's your room. Here's your bed. And and it's weird too, because if I'm not mistaken, it kind of ends up like the elder, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
So like if it's grandma, she'll start to critique I might be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, they'll start to critique the wife on how to be a better wife. Whereas if it's grandpa,
The husband. on
he
how to be-
critiques the
I
husband
see.
on how to provide more for the family.
Mm.
That's passing the torch. That's passing the knowledge down.
How can you pass the knowledge? How can they pass the torch if you're 500 miles away?
Right.
So this is that for me. It's like you want that age-old true knowledge that's going to get you to the end. You got to talk to somebody who done it, lived it, dealt with it, survived it, whatever.
You gotta go
have you.
sit your ass down with Gramps and listen for a word or two about what
Might
he
have
has
to
to
clean
say.
up some spittle,
Yeah.
get him
Yeah.
another, tapioca pudding or something. But
But he's been there, done that, and
But
paid
he's-
his dues.
yeah,
Exactly.
he's got the cheat code for you to completely pass on and not have to worry about that specific situation. Where if you didn't have it, you got to go and deal with it. You don't know how to get out of it. You got to just push through.
You have to go and experience it yourself. You don't have any type of prior knowledge to help you out.
Right.
Right. My final point
All
on
right.
the side of Connect and for Centurions altogether
Okay.
comes down to their tribe. And by what they mean by this is the people they keep in their inner circle. The people they keep in their inner circle are the ones that also, it's like you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure you're okay. And then one day, you're not feeling right. So they check on each other. Hey,
Yeah.
are you doing okay? And that's where, you don't think about it, but you start, if you pay attention, like older generations, grandparents, great grandparents even, they'll call family.
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't heard from you in a month. Let me call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I ain't.
I
you
ain't
know,
heard from my buddy in like 10 years. Let me call him up real quick.
Right. But
10
that's
years might be
because
excessive.
that person is part of their tribe. And it's weird the way you think about it, but yeah, you can spread out. But now, especially given technology,
Yep.
we could be on the other side of the United States and we can pick up the phone and make a phone call and be on the other side of the United States having that conversation. It's as
Yep.
easy as that.
Yep.
I mean, we can pick up our phone and FaceTime somebody across the planet.
Exactly.
But does that count as a meaningful connection? Does that still being part of the tribe despite the distance because of technology?
So the part of it that got interesting was they did some studies, but like I said, they don't have many people they can talk to. And centenarians alone, I'm gonna go ahead and assume based with technology, they're probably not fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's being stereotypical.
They're probably very skeptical, or there's a lot they don't understand. I guess is the best
I'm
way
not
to
saying
put
they
it.
can't use them. I'm gonna go ahead and say they're not a fan that they have to use them.
I'm sorry. Like, if there's a centenarian across in Italy that needs somebody to talk to because they lost their tribe, I'll be your tribe. You can FaceTime me.
Right. But that's what it comes back to is who do you have around you that's not only going to stand by you, but when you fall to that knee, who's going to help you get back up and take that next step?
It's all
Right.
about energy transference.
Yeah.
Damn, my circle's might be a little too small. Just saying.
I don't know.
Hey, and it's never too late or too early to expand or
Retract. The circle.
retract your circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I had on centenarians. And the last bit of that information on the Power 9 and a majority of them and of this other information came from Blue Zones and Kendall.org.
Nice.
Okay.
I think
Very
that's
nice.
interesting. I think we all have something we can learn from that. I feel
Yeah.
like it's
Oh,
a
yeah,
never too
definitely.
late thing.
So, one of the other facts was they actually had they realized they had two different types of groups: people who, in their younger years, kind of partied hardy, had a little bit too much fun, but at a point around, I think it was 40s, 50s, 60s,
Their later years.
you know, sometime later on the years when they started making certain lifestyle choices. Based off the statistics, these people were still able to add about 4 to 12 years onto their life because of the habits they changed.
Oh wow.
So yes,
That's a lot.
if you're the younger you are, if you make the right
easier
changes,
it is to
the
reach
easier it
that.
is to more than likely hit that goal.
But just because you feel like you're halfway through the quote unquote human life expectancy doesn't mean that you can't make better choices and prolong your
right.
life.
Yeah.
Just to be
It's never
clear,
too late.
everybody listening, he was looking and pointing more towards me than anybody else here.
Wow. I didn't catch that, but yeah.
But I am
Wow.
43, so I've reached my half-life expectancy at this point in time, if I'm lucky. But I wanted to bring up a point because your topic reminded me of something I read. So I had read an article, and again, it was just one of those articles you read and certain parts of it stick with you. But basically it said the happiest time in a human's life is at the age of 21, and they do not reach that pinnacle again until they retire.
What?
What?
21.
The happiest you're going to be,
That is
21.
depressing.
and you won't reach that pinnacle again. And it might not be worldwide. This might be just a United States based.
Yeah.
So then here's my question. Based off of current standards and the chance that I'm never going to get to retire because
I'm never going to. If I stop working, that's the day I die, when I stop working.
That's what I'm saying, because, and I hope I'm wrong and that Social Security gets fixed, but as of right now, I can't bank on that.
Well,
Oh,
it's,
hell, I can't bank on that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
for me,
so
it's,
if my next pinnacle of happiness is my retirement, that's never going to come. That's depressing.
You
well,
gotta
I mean,
make your own retirement.
I got to make my own
I
retirement.
don't even think for me it's like the Social Security, it's the 401k. I think, and for me, kind of to drive that point home, I think if I don't have a purpose, I will wither and die. I will fade away into nothingness because that's when I die. When I don't have a purpose to get up every day and a purpose to fulfill.
I got a perfect example. and because two of us experience. Now I'm sure other people experienced it different ways, but anyways, when we had COVID,
Oh yeah.
the first 2 great days. Oh, this is great. I don't got to do nothing.
Big
Yeah, I'm
chilling.
sick.
I feel kind of
you know,
icky.
I feel funky, but you know,
Yeah.
I can lay in bed. I ain't got to do.
Play my
Third,
video
fourth
game all
day, I need to get out of here. I got to do something.
Yeah.
I gotta go. I gotta go. I
Yeah.
can't be here no more. And I think that dials back to that purpose. Yeah, it was nice to take a break, but at the end of it is like,
I need something.
I need to do
Something.
something.
Yeah, something. I think that's just generally human nature. Is just like I have to do something.
I have to move.
I have to contribute to something. I have to fulfill a purpose, and I feel like that purpose has to be beyond my internal purposes. Like
Oh, I see.
it's got to be something like you were saying, gardening. It's got to be something that I'm nurturing versus something outward that I'm nurturing. Gardening, raising children, helping raise grandbabies, working a job where other people are relying on me to complete my job for them to be able to do theirs.
Right.
It's got to be something that's an external factor versus an internal factor.
So another thing that got me thinking when I was actually reading about what they eat, it actually brought me back to, I think it was episode 1. And I think it was, Mom, you made the comment of, I think we were talking about terraforming, but you made the comment of people living with the land, right? Thinking about that specifically, and how the way centenarians on average eat. If you think about it, back in the day when we lived with the land, most of our food would have came from vegetables and herbs and beans.
Because it was much harder to get the meat, the
Exactly,
protein.
because we had to
Yeah.
go out, we had to find it, we had
Yeah.
to hunt it.
Or even when we had like livestock and stuff, a lot of people only had like one sheep and stuff or one cow. It's like if you kill your cow, there
You
goes
don't
all
get
your
milk.
milk. Yeah,
Yeah.
until you get another
You
cow.
kill your
Yeah, that means-
sheep,
that
you don't
means-
get no wool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it meant more than that. Like no milk, no cheese, no yogurt.
Yep.
Yeah.
It meant like on your sheep, no cheese, no milk, no yogurt. It meant no wool for clothing. And it was a big deal. And when you did choose to slaughter the animal, you used every part of that animal.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you
To the
ate, you
bone.
consumed it,
Yep.
or you used
it for
it as a
something else.
tool.
Yeah.
You
Well, they would
used-
even use the bones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they use sinew.
Native
know-
Americans were using tendons for their
That's-
bow and arrows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sinew. Yeah. So every part of it was consumed. Nothing was left for waste.
Yeah. When they harvested an animal, the entire thing was harvested.
Right.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of In the Weeds. If you enjoy our content, please give us a follow and share us with your friends. If there's something you want us to talk about, leave a comment. Here's a sneak peek from an upcoming episode. Enjoy.
We need to have a really big solar flare that wipes out all the satellites.
I was trying not to be.
Doomsday? Was that
Doomsday.
was that too Doomsday?
That was a little doomsday. That was a
Okay.
little doomsday. I was
Sorry.
trying not to do that.